Today, we want to focus on the experiences of people who are most affected by restrictive practices. Instead of only talking about restrictive practices, we will discuss what safety, choice, and inclusion look like from the viewpoint of people with disability and how these ideas can lead to a better life. So I'm honoured to be joined by Poppy Mullins, who will share their experiences and insight. This is actually a turning of the tables. The last time Poppy and I spoke to each other, Poppy interviewed me. So, Poppy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay. Hello everyone. Thanks for having me here at such an important event. My name's Poppy Mullins. Co- um come I am joining you here today from Brisbane, the lands of the Yagara and Turrbal people. Um, I'm a um um white girl wearing a yellow dress with bees on it. Um,
Thank you, Poppy. And so, what I want to start with today is talking about what being safe means to you. So, can you share what feeling safe means in your daily life and what does a safe environment look and feel like for you?
Well, I suppose for me, a lot of what I see as my life being not so much safe, but certainly comfortable, and I think having comfort gives that safety is just being treated like an adult by those who I trust to treat me like an adult. Um, Before we start, I'd like to just put in the disclaimer that I've never been exposed to physical restrictive practice, so can't talk on that point. But what I can talk about, I suppose, is the social microaggressions of restrictive practice. So I guess to best illustrate times when I haven't felt safe, which includes being listened to and respected, was when I was 14 at um school. I I required teachers to help me in the classroom, but also to see me at lunchtime to make sure I had social interactions with able-bodied peers. And one example where I did feel restricted from that was I I was in about year 9, and the agreement the school had with me as a student was every day I would spend lunchtime in the eating area with my particular group of friends. Uh, Now, at, at this point in time, my my friendship group, as it is most friendship groups, was having some difficulties, and I really wanted to reiterate to the friends I had that they could see me as a reliable person. But there was this one particular day where my teacher aide, instead of taking me to the eating area, took me down to the special education unit. And when I asked her why, she just said, "Oh, because it's we're having a party for a staff member today, and the other aides to miss out. You you eat your lunch down here." And that really what shocked me, that I was 14 years of age, yet she just this person who I said I knew that she understood what I needed in the classroom would plainly not get away from me. But what I want to get at here is I didn't I didn't sort of have anything to say to that, because I think when you are disabled as a young person, the first relationship you kind of have to navigate society is that of a parent and child. And so I see it as the responsibility of schools or other education providers to still have that safety that you need that when you have a disability.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that particular experience, Poppy. I guess what I can hear you sort of sharing through that experience is that for you is about feeling, you said respected as an adult, but it's not just about being physically safe, it's emotionally, and even they're saying about your social group, that's being socially safe as well. It's there's a lot more to feeling safe than just the physical, safety of a building. I guess another angle I would really love to sort of explore with you is that it's talking about choice and how important it is for you to be in charge of, your own decisions. Can you describe maybe a time when you had the power to make your own decisions and how much of a difference that made in your life?
Well, it's really um it's quite interesting actually, because one of those times was just when my parents were away, and for the first time I was able to go out with my support worker and a friend and go out for dinner and, and go out for go out to this bar, which is something it's an experience never had. And I I guess for me it was interesting because I trusted that support worker, and and because she trusted me enough to give me the space to talk with my friend and be in this bar, it it gave me the choice to decide whether I wanted to stay in that environment, or whether it was or whether, because of noise, it was whether it was going to be difficult for me. And I found that because I knew I had that choice, I was actually able to stay in that bar for longer, and I didn't mind that was noise. And I I had a very open conversation with my friend of the kind which I've been wanting to have since we were both teenagers, and we're in our 20s now. And so I guess the other thing with giving people choices, not just about giving them a choice to live their life, but also the choice to feel safe in exploring. Okay, what would actually happen if I were in a noisy environment? I've got that fear, but where does that come from? And I trust this person. I know nothing's going to happen to me, so maybe I will stay here for a bit longer. And it's that kind of thing of, I suppose the way what it is, it's not enough for our educators or support workers, um, people who kind of take take us in our adulthood. It's not enough for them to have a half goal and give us that choice. They have to have a sort of metal barrier around that heart of gold, which in a metaphorical sense is how I see them having that kind of understanding of what the person's fears are, and making sure that person knows that, they're not just gonna, walk away while that person has a drink. They will be there, and
Yeah.
they won't hover in a kind of misguided way, but they will be there, and that being in a certain environment is normal, and it doesn't mean that every time
Yeah.
they need to be taken away, I suppose, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So I guess, in what you're just sharing there about your experience of being able to go to the bar and have that experience with your friends is that you were given the choice to be able to, I guess, know that you're safe in that environment while someone was still there, but not necessarily hovering and being there. But it's giving you choice and control to sort of be able to live the life that you want to live and connect to your friends and connect to your community. So I guess that helps you, that someone else is giving you that independence to be able to make informed decision yourself about whether you're safe in that environment or not. So I guess, the last thing I'd love to talk a little bit about is problem solving. Life often presents us with challenges and we all do need to find ways to work through them. How do you approach problem solving? So what kind of support helps you the most when you're faced with a difficult situation?
I Finding people who I know I know will um will res- respect me as the person I am now, and not as the person, you know, not even as the person my parents would tell a support worker I am, or not even, I guess, sort of what I need, and sort of not kind not kind of um, y- not kind of using, not kind of seeing restrictive practice as something that is physical, but understanding that um them um them s- sort of them sort of saying to them sort of putting their own expectations onto of what I should like, or think or do, putting their own expectations onto me, and then if I don't sort of meet those expectations, not sort of getting nervous or angry or annoyed or taking them away, because that sort of treatment is the treatment you get when you're a child, and I feel that it's sort of, then every time you have an interaction with a person like that, who who kind of puts these expectations onto you, even if they're just things like, oh, if we go out to the cinema, oh, how do I recline you back in your seat, or what way are we meant to go? Understanding that, well, I might not drive, so relying on me to give directions isn't something that is a helpful sort of expectation for both of us. So it has to be about, you know, mm, those in our schools not having their own expectations, or if they have their own expectations, that's that's fine, but then not sort of taking those expectations away in a punitive manner, like asking me if someone at school that day had asked me, Poppy, if you Poppy, if you want to go down to the eating, do you mind if a different person feeds you at lunch? If someone had asked me that, I would have said yes, and I never would have felt, you know, trapped.
Yeah.
But because they made that expectation that, oh, you know, it was, I, you know, Pop, it's not taking Poppy away from the classroom, it's just lunch, so maybe she won't mind. People need to just respect what they think we would need as the adults we are, not the people we say we are on a naval form or in a school environment. Because if they don't, then the then the young person with the disability is going to stay a child in some ways. You're not getting that chance to really not to really have interactions where you are an adult. You're just sort of staying in a state of panic
Yeah.
of what do I actually say if a person touches me in a way I don't like, or what if, the car breaks down again and the person asks me what do you do and I don't know because I can't drive all that thing, and just having those conversations straight away and not waiting for not having expectations that oh nothing's happened yet so we don't
Yeah.
need to talk about this.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Poppy. I think there's a couple of really important things that you just said there about, not having people impose expectations, but also, having those conversations up front. So I guess, you're talking about empathy, but you're talking about, being safe in a way that you're feeling secure and respected by the other person, and that you also be given choice, and that gives you control over your own life. And then problem solving, being supported to work through any challenges that might arise. So maybe that day, if someone had have asked the question that, as you said, you might have been able to work through that. So I guess these are all essential parts of a good life for people with disability, and they remind us why it's so important to create environments that are inclusive and empowering. I really want to thank you, Poppy, so much for sharing your experiences. Your voice and insights are really valuable to this particular conversation. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, and I feel really honored to be part of such an important event.
Thank you.